Joining us today is Representative from New York's 17th Congressional District, Congressman Mike Lawler. Welcome to Better for America. I'm thrilled to have you here with me.
Thanks for having me, Rebecca.
Well, thank you. Now, you're a Republican member of Congress from a state that is known for being solid blue. I myself am a New Yorker. But this past November, Republicans gained ground in the state of New York compared to other elections, which in my opinion sort of went under the radar. What is your take on the pulse of New York State? Is it truly deep blue, or do you believe that people are waking up and there might be room for more Republican gains down the line?
Well, we've certainly seen a significant shift to the left in New York City over the last decade. Mike Bloomberg won his last re-election in 2009. And since that time, there have been three mayoral elections which have gone decidedly Democratic. However, in the suburbs and in upstate New York, this has always been a very purple state. And Republicans have won on the local level for years, including in my home county of Rockland, which is a 2-to-1 Democratic county by enrollment, but we've had the county executive be Republican for 29 years. So this is, a situation, I think, where voters, especially in the suburbs, are very pragmatic. They want balance. And we saw that in this past November's elections when Republicans flipped 4 seats in the House and now have 11 Republican members in Congress, which is the most in over 20 years. And a lot of it had to do with the issues between affordability and public safety. And Democrats controlled everything in Washington, Albany, and New York City for the first time in our nation's history, and voters rejected it. They don't want one-party rule. They want balance. They want common sense restored at every level of government. And I think that's what we had offered, and certainly I did in my race, which is a district Joe Biden won by 10 points in 2020 and has 70,000 more Democrats than Republicans. We talked about the issues. We presented voters with an alternative, and they took it. And so, we made significant gains in New York, and we need to build on those heading into next year.
Thank you, Congressman. One of the very common themes that we continue to hear from our AMAC membership is, okay, we took back the House, we have some great committees, but recently we had both the House and Senate pass the Congressional Review Act resolution, which would have allowed Congress to overturn the Biden administration's dangerous environmental, social, and governance investing rule. Now, thanks in large part to AMAC members, they really did make their voices heard, but we know that that was vetoed by Biden. And so, without holding the Senate or White House, what sort of results can we truly expect to see happen?
Frankly, we've made more progress than I think most people expected in a short period of time, because we're hitting issues that were part of the commitment to America, that were part of the platform that we ran on and that voters elected us to govern on. And so, the ESG rule, that legislation that we put forward, that was passed by the Senate and obviously vetoed by the White House. I think it speaks volumes, obviously, to a disconnect between the White House and Congress. But it's obviously an issue that will be, relitigated during the 2024 presidential campaign. The reality here is that the policies enacted by the Biden administration economically have created an absolute mess. A 41-year record high on inflation. We continue to see the consequences of that. You look at the banking collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, and a lot of it tied to the record inflation, which resulted in high interest rates, which negatively impacted long-term treasuries. And so, ultimately, I think the policies that the Biden administration have enacted economically, when it comes to energy policy, which is why we passed H.R. 1 just a few weeks ago. Voters expected us to govern on issues that would reduce the cost of living, bring down inflation, and grow our economy. And that's what we're focused on, and as a House Republican majority, and what we're going to continue to work towards. So, there's going to be challenges along the way. We don't control the White House, we don't control the Senate. There's going to be disagreements, but I do think we've made significant progress already. You look at the crime bill in D.C., which the president said he would veto, and then reversed course, pulling the rug out from under Democrats in the House, and signed into law. So there's a lot that we can do. We just got to pass it in the House and put it on the table for debate and discussion, and put pressure on the administration and the Senate to move on this. And I think we're continuing to do that.
Well, thank you for your common sense leadership there. Now, you currently serve on the Financial Services Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and we recently learned that intelligence was in fact gathered from the China balloon, which we all remember hovering over U.S. soil, despite the Biden administration and China initially claiming that it wasn't the case. Now, we all expect lies from China, but not from our own government, our own president. Last week, you joined your colleagues from the Foreign Affairs Committee on a trip to the Indo-Pacific. The timing, I think, was very unique considering the balloon revelation. Can you share with us what you can about that trip and what we can now expect in terms of holding China accountable and, frankly, the Biden administration accountable after both stated that no intel was retrieved?
So obviously, China is our greatest geopolitical foe, and I think what we've seen in recent years, obviously, economically, they have been doing everything they can to undercut us, from devaluing currency to stealing intellectual property rights. And obviously, when it comes to trade, there is and continues to be a trade imbalance. And now they are seeking to use their currency as opposed to the U.S. dollar when it comes to trade with other countries. So they continue to be an economic threat that we need to take seriously. On top of that, obviously, they have engaged in provocation from the Chinese spy balloon traversing the entire continental United States to military exercises in the Pacific, to the potential of selling weapons to bad actors around the world. And that obviously is deeply concerning. And so this trip to the Indo-Pacific came at a very critical time. And we went to Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, three important allies and trade partners in the region. And one of the lessons that we have to take away, frankly, from the Russian invasion of Ukraine is that had the United States and our allies acted sooner to deter Vladimir Putin, he most definitely would have thought twice about invading. But we would have been in a much better position to help Ukraine had we armed them earlier with the weapons that they were supposed to receive. Here, with respect to Taiwan, we need to learn that lesson and get them the equipment and the weapons that they've already purchased that are well delayed in production. And so we need to move expeditiously on that. But more importantly, we need to make it clear to China that there will be severe economic consequences between the United States and our allies in the region, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, India, the Philippines, if they are to invade Taiwan or create a blockade in the Strait of Taiwan. And if people are concerned, well, what would this have to do with us? Understand that 60% of international trade comes through the Strait of Taiwan, and over 90% of the world's semiconductors are manufactured in Taiwan. This would have a devastating impact not only on the global economy, but on the United States in particular. Taiwan is our 8th largest trading partner. And obviously, we use semiconductors for everything, from your computer to your phone, to just your daily lives, your home appliances. So it is pivotal that we ensure peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific, and that we learn the lesson of the Russian invasion in Ukraine, and do everything we can proactively to deter China from even thinking about invading Taiwan.
So I want to thank you, Congressman. We know how busy you are. You are fighting hard for us. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate your strong leadership.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Rebecca.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more just like it. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, or by downloading the AMAC app. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Until next time, I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your podcast, Better for America. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening.